Well, the aim of this interview is going to be very casual.
Okay.
No,
we're serious. I'm serious as well.
Are you?
Yeah.
But I like to be casual.
All right. Well, I'm not casual.
I mean, this musical journal is like very serious. What kind of music are you listening at the moment? How would you define your music?
Yeah.
Bullshit. That's right. Absolutely. No.
Bullshit.
I wanted to make this interview because I've spoken so many times to Steve and Richard that I'm not interested anymore of bullshit they're saying. Okay.
So much bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. So it would be much more interesting to know the darker part of Porcupine Tree.
Yeah.
And first question is, how did you enter the band?
Me or Carl?
Yeah.
Okay, me first. Well, a long time ago, Stephen came up to me and said, I've known him for a long, long time anyway, for about 11 years maybe longer, since I was at school.
Yeah.
And he said, he'd done this record and would I be interested in doing any gigs?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, fine. And nothing happened
That's
for
what
about
blind
a year.
people fuck for.
Nothing happened for about a year, and then we had a rehearsal with a different keyboard player and a different drummer. And I think from that, even though
Who were they?
I can't remember. There was a couple of guys that Richard Allen had put us onto, but it wasn't really happening. But I think he saw at the same time that it was still a possibility.
Yeah.
So later on, then when the band got offered some gigs, before that, I did some recording with him, one of the tracks on Up the Downstairs.
Yeah.
And then later that year, when the band got offered some gigs, and he just asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said, yeah, okay, that's fine. And we did 5 gigs or a radio session and some other things, and it was the first gig we did was sold out. It was really good.
The Mark Ratcliffe one.
That was the
Yeah,
radio
that
session,
coincided with the Nag's Head.
It was all in the same week, so we did that, and then nothing happened for a while. Oh no, we went to Holland for a gig, and that was really good. And then nothing happened for ages, and I didn't know what was going to happen or if there was a future in it or whatever. So I went to Australia for a while.
Oh, okay.
And, when I came back, they said, "Oh, there's a festival, 2 days away or something." So I ended up doing that, and then there was another gap, and then by that time, everyone realised that it was going to work.
Yeah.
So, we didn't meet until the rehearsal. I didn't know Chris before.
Yeah, that's right. It was the first rehearsal. I mean, the short story, really, from my point of view, is that I worked with Steve in No Man, a live edition of No Man. We're talking 1993. I answered a Melody Maker advert, which asked for a drummer that was into Talking Heads and various other groups. But I never would pay any attention to that. I was purely going for work. So I went to an audition. No Man, that was 3-piece, with Ben, the violinist, and Steve and Tim Burns.
Yeah.
And I knew that in their audition they wanted a contrast in dynamics, and I knew that's something that I've always liked to be able to do, is to be completely full on and then really gentle or whatever. So I enjoyed the audition, but funnily enough, I didn't get phased. I used to go to auditions and get worried about them, and that one I just didn't worry about it. I thought, well, if I don't get it, so what? And
so you did some gigs with No Man?
Yeah, the funny thing was the first thing we did with No Man was actually television, and their manager rang me up, and I'd got a great speech all ready to ask for how much money I wanted. Yeah. And he said, well, never mind all that, do you want to do some television? I went, yes. So that next night I raced down to the Astoria in London. I went through the door. When they said, who are you? I said, we're No Man, and I'd only just my first gig. And we did some television, 3 shoots of 3 songs. I think one of them was Days in the Trees, Housekeeping, something else.
Oh,
okay. What was it? Only Baby. And they came out on a program called The Big E, and I think that was done for Japanese television. And so that was great to suddenly get work like that, and I enjoyed working with Steve. We did live gigs supporting Ultravox, and I'm not sure that Steve particularly liked them, but for me it was
supporting Ultravox,
and that's how Steve and I started working together. So I was quite pleased when he asked me to work on his next project, which I have to say, the music was quite weird for me. But again, I don't always go on what I like. I go on work. And
so I mean,
you make it what you get, what you like out of it. Just one other thing is when I first rehearsed, actually, was when I first met Colin.
Yeah. So I mean, the yes.
This one.
And I remember when I first, on the first day of rehearsal, I tried to copy Steve's drum machine work, note for note, and Steve just stopped the rehearsal and said, "That's not why I got you in this band." And I thought, oh no, he really hates what I'm doing. And what he meant was he wanted me just to be myself. So I knew from that day it was workable, it was something workable. And like Colin said, the first gig actually, which I was a bit on a downer about, because a friend of mine was doing a gig that I wanted to get at Wembley Arena. I was thinking, this is great, I'm going to fucking nag's head. But the vibe between the band and the vibe from the audience being full was really good.
So the music that you were going to play with Steve was not the same one as your background. I mean, musical background. It was different.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the thing that was how can I say in English? Was intriguant.
What intricate?
Intriguant means that it was curious for you
or innovative.
Yes, but you said, well, this is not my background.
Yeah.
This is where I come from. So
Well,
it's a kind of I would say
evolved. But I mean, I think with Steve anyway, he did like it when I was putting in bits of playing that would have come from my background, like Rush, Genesis, and those sort of drumming. So he liked that. He didn't necessarily like. I think we did have common ground. We did both know about certain bands. If I said, "Oh, that drummer," or he said, "Oh, a bit more like this band," we'd know what we were talking about. So actually, funnily enough, although his music sounded quite a bit different, we both knew about a similar background. We both had that. We crossed over.
Okay. Okay. So you've toured 1994 with Porcupine Tree, if I'm not wrong.
1984.
94. 94.
End of 94.
94. End of 94.
End of 94. And then you started recording Sky Musade, which was the first record you recorded with the band.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that was still Steve on his own. Moonloop was classically a group track. I don't know what else Colin did.
Yeah, I think I just did one track on the Up and Down stuff, and that was the first thing I did with Steve. But I mean, I've recorded, well, not much, but I had recorded a couple of things with Steve before, a few things just, and it's, I kept in touch with him over the years.
Yeah.
But we've never really worked together. We jammed together a few times, and I'd been around his studio and played the bass, but it was nothing serious.